One popular course usually offered is marine biology.
I taught marine biology for 2 semesters on World Campus Afloat. Frankly, I'm afraid it's going to be pretty frustrating to go back teaching at my home university campus. I guess every professor dreams of finding just the right balance between lecture, reading, and discussion, and actually going out in the field with students and letting them get actively involved with the mechanics of the subject. I found very little problem in maintaining interest with these students, even the less motivated students. For instance, one day I was lecturing on the use of ocean bottom sampling equipment when I noticed a few minds wandering. So I rescheduled the lecture for the afternoon lab session and arranged with the captain to stop the ship long enough for me to demonstrate the equipment. Naturally, the students have very little trouble grasping the use of the equipment when they themselves are using it. And there's no problem maintaining that enthusiasm when we take the samples indoors to analyze them.
We should find phytoplankton, dinoflagellates, diatom, cotton.
Whenever we were in warm water ports like Tahiti, Ceylon, the Canary Islands, even here in Acapulco, I'd set up diving expeditions. Usually somebody brought along a spear, and we'd take turns catching fish. These expeditions would provide us with specimens to study and dissect back on the ship, and the students generally were very impatient to analyze what they themselves had caught. Now I think it's going to be a real challenge for me to teach this course back home. It's going to take a great deal of inventiveness on my part to make it half as dynamic and alive as it was on the ship.
As there's not much exercise involved in walking around the campus, phys ed is required 3 times a week, although rumors persist that it's offered strictly for its entertainment value.
You know, after about 15 years of formal education, I think WCA is the only academic situation I remember where I didn't mind studying. Because of the whole nature of the program, you can't help getting involved in all your courses. If anything, I'd say the hard part is really trying to keep up with them and follow up on everything you've gotten excited about in port. Actually, there's a kind of natural compulsion to budget your time when you're on the ship, because who wants to spend all their time in port writing term papers or cramming for tests?
The ship is kind of like a small island. It's so small I could get to any of my classes 5 minutes after I woke up. But what's really important about this close environment is that there's no escape from your problems. You've got to face them head on, and it doesn't take long to discover the give and the take in life. I learned more about my friends and about myself in 4 months than I would have in 4 years on a land campus. Of course, if someone does have a problem, they can always get professional advice from the school's counselors or the chaplains. This small community really creates an outstanding student-faculty rapport. I found I often got more from informal discussions and seminars with my professors than I did in class. And a lot of students who had always been inhibited around faculty members had no trouble at all breaking down those traditional barriers. I think everyone should experience an awakening at some point in his college life. An awakening to people, places other than in his own country. Students in the ordinary campus routine see things only in terms of the lecturer and the textbook. Experiences are only gotten from listening and reading. But I've found that just as a picture is worth 1,000 words, travel is worth 1,000 classrooms.
Shipboard life is hardly all study. There's plenty to do and never enough time to do it all. After midterms are over, everyone collapses in the sun. The pool is available, except in cold or rainy weather, for water sports or just to cool off. Other light pastimes are available like shuffleboard and ping pong, or heavy ones like weightlifting. The latter seems to draw more spectators, which is hard to explain since it's not a game. Volleyball and basketball are the hands-down favorites, and Ship champions are often asked to play exhibition games with foreign teams. As is true everywhere else on the planet, a bull session, with or without guitar, can be found without too much trouble anytime, day or night. One myth that deserves squelching is about the storm at sea. Those who are prone to sickness in smaller craft, in nearly every case, get used to the daily motion and aren't even phased in rough weather. There is always a nucleus of those who prefer rough weather and stand at the rail for hours, taking wind facials like dogs out a car window. There's usually a Saturday night dance, and sometimes extra effort goes into the costumes and decorations, this time for Halloween. All major holidays are celebrated aboard. Christmas preparations begin weeks in advance to make ready for the day the jolly fat man in red suit arrives in his sleigh bearing goodies and bidding good cheer. Instead of the usual self-service cafeteria style, the staff puts on the dog for this and other holidays, and everyone is pampered, from soup to nuts to a 10-course meal. After dinner, a Christmas show is presented in the Student Union. And a few days later, after the excitement of bringing in the new year dies down, the last dance of the evening and the last round of Auld Lang Syne winds up the season's festivities.